Hi everybody, welcome and welcome back. My name is Kimiko Sumi, and today I am here to do another video about mental health and why people should be careful of who they procreate with. I'm gonna speak about mental health and like appearances too, like looks and mental health. I feel like that people should be careful with who they procreate with, especially women. Like with mental health, you don't want your children to have to suffer mentally, and then them be a burden on you, or you have to invest a lot of money to get them to be mentally stable enough. Like you got to be careful. Look into people's your dating preferences or dating um, choices, like mental background, their health background, overall health. Look into their background and see what their history says about them, and just look at that person in general. Okay, be very careful and selective who you choose to procreate with, who you choose to date, because you know, for one, I'm not trying to be superficial, but when it comes down to features and looks and stuff, you got to really think about that. If you get pregnant by a guy, or you have a baby with somebody, you got to think about their looks, because that can impact them throughout life. Okay, if they have a mental illness or they look a certain way, people are not going to be that kind to them. So you got to be very selective. You do. I'm not trying to sound superficial once again, but that's just how the world works. People look at people and they decide whether it's always been that since the beginning of time with people, since people first stepped foot on earth. Looks have always mattered, and that's just the truth. And you have to find somebody. It's kind of like survival of the fittest, like Charles Darwin. What is it called? The Origin of Species, Survival of the Fittest. I know that people will say, well, that's not exactly what he was saying in that book, but to me, survival of the fittest is choosing somebody with a stable mental health, good looks, great, just overall medical history, just fine. Because you don't want to. And another thing too, I hate to say it, but finances too. You got to think about that too. You don't want your children to suffer. If you care anything about your children or your future offspring, be careful. Be very careful who you procreate with, because it could be catastrophic. You have to be very careful, especially if you don't have a lot of money. You got to be careful. You got to be very careful, because that may be a big burden on you. You might think, well, oh, I like this dude, I like this girl, but that child could end up being a burden on you, okay? Financially, mentally, physically, and stuff like that. You got to be very, very careful with looks. You don't want them going to school, getting scrutinized and put down. Oh, a little bit of my eyes, okay. But you don't want them be putting down, because life is already hard. You don't want to make it harder for your offspring. If you love them, if you care about them, be selective. You just gotta be, because you just don't want. You gotta look into their background about other things too, like deformities and stuff like that. You gotta be careful. Okay, I know that people should maybe in a good world or a better world, looks wouldn't matter, but this is the current world that we live in. It is what it is, and I just hate to say it. And that's one reason why I won't procreate too, because I don't want my children to suffer mentally, financially, physically. I don't want them to go through things that I went through growing up too. No shade to my parents or nothing, but I mean, honestly, I would never bring a child into this current world anyway with anybody. It doesn't matter what my circumstances are. I don't feel like that they would be safe in this world, in this particular world. And I would rather them be protected in away from this world. This is not a nice world. And even if you do have a child that's attractive, or they're stable minded, outside influences can still hinder them, and they can be bullied and stuff, because maybe they're attractive too. And it's a lot of people out here that they're cutthroat. So you got to be careful. Okay, so that's my message for today, y'all. And I will see y'all in another video, and I hope you like this video. So please like, subscribe, share my video, hit the notification bell, comment if you like, and I will see y'all in another video, my lotus flowers. Peace. Bye bye.